Mr. President, I want you to know sometimes when I watch you striding across the White House lawn so confidently, with so much masculinity, I'll admit it, I get sexually aroused. Thank you for breathing life back into my once slumbering penis.
That is very well stated, listen.
Holocaust Remembrance Day. And as you know, 6 million people were at my inauguration. I mean, there were just so many people at my inauguration, but the media refuses to cover it. It's so unfair. And one day I'm going to write a memoir about this struggle and call it My Struggle.
One man put on a wig, squinted, and turned the most powerful office in the world into a Saturday night punchline. Another man sat behind a desk in Hollywood and used a monologue to turn a private family scare into a national test for decency in healthcare. Between Alec Baldwin's live television caricature and Jimmy Kimmel's relentless nightly fact checks,
that you demonized immigrants in
Not
this
at all.
election.
No, we need the people.
Your campaign.
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
Right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question.
Donald Trump learned the one lesson he could never stand to learn. When you put your ego on broadcast, broadcast will put your ego on mute. If you have a personal favorite moment where Kimmel or Baldwin blew the hinges off the narrative, drop it in the comments right now.
I just had the opportunity to have an excellent conversation with President-elect Trump. It was wide-ranging. We talked about some of the organizational issues in setting up a White House. We talked about foreign policy. We talked about domestic policy.
The Tonys bleep, the SNL cold opens, the healthcare plea that made senators squirm. Let me know the clip that lives rent-free in your head, because we are about to stitch the entire story together in one clean shot. If you are joining for the first time, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel, IBN.
Well, moments after we taped our show last night, the Mad Red Hatter wrote, "I can't believe ABC Fake News gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back." You can't believe they gave me my job back. I can't believe we gave you your job back.
Start with Kimmel. In May of 2017, he told America that healthcare is not an abstract fight. It is a hospital room with your kid in it. He walked through the story of his newborn son's heart surgery, then held Congress to a standard that reporters started calling the Jimmy Kimmel test.
I have a fantastic relationship with Mexico, okay? I have personally met with the Mexican president. I forget his name. I think it was something like Mr. Guacamole. I'm sorry, excuse me, Senor Guacamole. I also met his beautiful wife, Taquito, and their twin children, Chips and Salsa.
Forget the talking points, he said. Will a baby with a heart defect still get care if his parents are broke? That was the question. The monologue went viral because it was raw, not fancy. It was not a stunt. It was a father explaining that morality is not a line in a bill. It is a line in your life. As the clip detonated across television and feeds, Republicans who had been selling repeal at rallies suddenly had to sell it to faces.
With an accent somehow makes it even worse, you know? They're calling our president the world's most powerful man baby, able to soil 5 diapers in a single bound. Other countries look at Trump the way we look at the running of the bulls. Like, what are those people, nuts? What's going on there? Today, Trump signed an executive order that will allow a group of investors to buy TikTok.
Kimmel cracked the veneer. He turned policy into personal. The man who lives to brand people as weak found himself branded as the guy trying to make survival a luxury purchase. That is not a talking point you can tweet away. Kimmel kept going. Night after night, he cut through the fog with a rhythm that felt like a neighbor telling you what you missed while you were at work.
Judges, do each of you swear to tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
We do.
Mr. President,
I'm good.
be seated.
All right, thank you. First of all, Mr. Trump, You understand this is a TV court, right?
That's okay. I'm a TV president.
He roasted the tantrums, he cut up the lies, he slowed down the clips, and walked the audience through them like a patient teacher. One moment, it was storm logic about hurricanes and paper towels. Another moment, it was the mind-bending logic of calling a 5-alarm scandal a hoax, while your staff drafted statements that treated it like a 5-alarm scandal. Kimmel's style was the opposite of Trump's style.
Whatever the president hates seeing do it the most, and that's undoubtedly you.
I say so.
Wouldn't you love to be in that room with him, watching you do him, and how mad that must make him?
Well, I mean, it's like, to me, it's like he's, so, when people say to me, what was your whole gag? And you know as well as I do, because you're very funny, that you can kind of suggest the voice or suggest the way they look, but you got to try to think of who he is. And I've said this countless times, like, to me, Trump was someone who, he's always searching for a stronger, better word, and he never finds it. So whenever you do Trump, he'll sit there and go, these people, they're great people, they're fantastic people, and I just want to say working with them was... And then he goes, a fantastic experience.
Trump sprayed the room with noise. Kimmel put the room on mute, rewound the tape, and pressed play. It drove Trump insane because the late-night desk has a superpower the rally stage does not. Time. You get to finish a sentence. You get to show a graphic. You get to cut to the receipt. And when the receipts are bad, the punchline writes itself.
He denied that he took cash in a bag, but he claims he did nothing illegal. What could be illegal about that? And we may never know if he did anything illegal because Trump's Department of Justice dropped the case. You know, they don't have time for this sort of thing. They've got real crimes to solve, like who hit the stop button on the president's escalator yesterday.
This together, it doesn't look like a coincidence to me, and I know that we have people, including the United States Secret Service, who are looking into this to try to get to the bottom of it. And if we find that these were UN staffers who were purposefully trying to trip up, literally trip up, the president and the first lady of the United States, well, there better be accountability for those people, and I will personally see to it, Jesse.
Good. That 14-year-old girl is right. We've got to get to the bottom of Escalade Gate.
Now put Alec Baldwin on the stage. October 2016, first debate season. Baldwin walks into Studio 8H with a prosthetic pout and turns Trump into a weekly event. It was not just a voice, it was a posture, the chin, the hands, the performative offense at every imagined slight.
We know the check probably isn't real because Trump only pays women when they sue him, but you can see this gives you some insight into the fun hijinks and sense of humor Jeff and his buddy Donnie shared with their pals. And while our famously verbose president suddenly has no comment on this, his sycophants...
Every Saturday, the country could watch a live sketch that boiled Trump's habits into essence. The repetition made it stick. The interruptions, the sniff. The big promises that turned to mist the second you ask for details. It all lived inside a character who felt both ridiculous and scarily accurate. That is the difference a great impression makes. It does not just imitate, it reveals.
Bend over for Putin. He sent military tanks into Washington, D.C. He said the Smithsonian focuses too much on how bad slavery was. He called India and Norway to tell them to nominate him for a Nobel Prize. And he cut off funding for pediatric brain cancer research for children. You would think a person who himself has the brain of a child would be in favor of funding pediatric brain cancer.
Baldwin's Trump stripped away the suit and left us with the tics and the neediness. People who were still on the fence could laugh at the performance and accidentally understand the man. Trump could not stand it. He raged at SNL in real time, called the show boring, said Baldwin stinks, demanded investigations when sketches cut too close to the bone. That was the tell.
Brazenly pulled Epstein's wing woman, his personal madam, Ghislaine Maxwell, out of real prison last month and transferred her into what is basically a courtyard by Marriott. The woman who has all the information on everyone is suddenly in a prison that has Pilates class, thanks to President Trump, and nobody bats an eye about it.
The most powerful person in the country was live tweeting a comedy show because he could not tolerate the idea that someone else's version of him was winning. Baldwin kept going week after week, debate after debate, inauguration cold opens, scandal cold opens, cabinet cold opens. He won an Emmy for it and the ratings spiked. Every time Trump complained, he painted himself into the corner of the joke.
He tweeted, let's put that up on the big screen. Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they've not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT.
September 2025 was a masterclass in how authoritarian pressure meets American backlash. After a firestorm around remarks linked to the Charlie Kirk shooting story, Kimmel's show went off the air for a stretch. Reports flew that pressure came from the Trump orbit and even a public posture from at least one FCC official who decided to join the political pile-on with a badge.
Warmed up for his date with the British press by yelling at a reporter from Australia who dared to ask about the billions of dollars he's been raking in since the election.
President Trump and a president in office should be engaged in so much business activity.
Well, I'm really not. My kids are running the business. I'm here. You know what the activity, where are you from?
I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Paul Cornum program.
Well, the Australians, you're hurting Australia, right? In my opinion, you are hurting Australia very much right now. And they want to get along with me. You know, your leader is coming over to see me very soon. I'm going to tell him about you. You set a very bad tone. Go ahead, John.
What a little...
That is not subtle. It is the politician's version of calling the manager and asking to see the policy book. But this is where the story flips. The moment the show got pulled, artists, civil liberties groups, media critics, and a good chunk of the public snapped to attention and asked a simple question.
And by the way, can you imagine if that little pubic scribble said Joe Biden instead of Donald Trump? There would have been another storming of the Capitol. There'd be torches and pitchforks going right up his Pennsylvania Avenue. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt slammed the letter. She said it was fake news to perpetuate the Democrat Epstein hoax. And the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, this guy's a beauty. He is in a tough spot because for years, the wingnuts have been trying to dig up dirt on these deep state pedophiles and their powerful friends.
Since when does a politician get to curate jokes on a network? Within days, Kimmel was back. He opened with a grin that said, "I told you this would not work." He did not need to rage. He let the return tell the story. Attempts to control comedy have a way of creating better comedy. Censors produce punchlines, thread the Baldwin and Kimmel arcs together, and look at the pattern. Trump's presidency and comeback bid lived on television.
Left to defend him. Last night, I joked that Trump would blame this on Joe Biden's auto pen, and I was wrong. Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee did that for him.
I mean, anybody can do a signature. We've seen the auto pen's been used quite a bit the Biden administration. So I've never known Trump to be much of an artist either.
Oh, well, then he couldn't have done it, right? I mean, he's not much of an artist. What are you talking about? He's an amazing artist. He's a con artist. He's a bullshit artist.
He made it a show, so the people who are best at shows made him answer for it on their stage. Kimmel turned empathy into a spotlight and kept the spotlight on. Baldwin turned a 3-hour rally ego trip into a 3-minute sketch that made the flaws repeatable. Kimmel tackled the policy spin and the daily lies. Baldwin tackled the persona and the long feud. Between the two, Trump did what he always does when he is cornered. He lashed out. He branded. He insulted. He begged the audience to forget what they had just seen and instead believe the word salad he had been chewing for years. Except live television has a memory. It replays. It stitches. It has a search bar. You cannot outshout a montage.
Not an artist. He paints his whole face orange every day. No one's saying Trump is an artist. This isn't exactly a Norman Rockwell. No one is hanging this in a museum. Their other proof he didn't do it is the signature. They say it doesn't look like his signature. It sure does to me. Especially when you compare it to other Trump signatures from that era. They're almost exactly the same. They all end with a long D, which I can only assume is Trump overcompensating for a small
There is a reason the 2018 Tony's bleep still matters. Baldwin did not say it that night. De Niro did. But the energy that exploded in that room is the same energy that powered Baldwin's SNL run and Kimmel's monologues for years. A famous truth said plainly, audience on its feet, power pretending not to hear it while all the microphones are aimed at the stage.
A handful of Republicans are siding with Democrats to force it. They want to see it all. They want to know who Jeffrey Epstein's friends are, which I have to say, I know who one of them is. He looks like this. The guy, that husky one in the pink tie yes, that is a man Jeffrey Epstein described as his best.
Remember the cutaways. Remember the faces. People were relieved to see someone call the thing by its name. That is what satire and late night are built for. They turn the subtext into text and dare you to deny your own eyes. Here's the part where you come in. If you want this kind of cut, hit subscribe so you do not miss the next deep dive. Leave a comment with one specific clip you want us to break down frame by frame.
This is a serious private conversation between three friends plus 50 reporters with cameras. I'm proud to welcome Kanye West, Yeezus, Yandi, Yadam, Yosain, an amazing guy. Thank you for coming, Kanye.
Yeah, that's right. I flew here using the power of this hat.
The SNL debate sketch with the stalking on stage. The Kimmel monologue where he puts a chart up that demolishes a claim. The night when Kimmel said he would still host Trump and let him talk. Because silence is not how you beat lies. You beat lies by letting them sit next to facts and watching them wither. Think about how many times Trump tried to reframe Baldwin as the problem. He called the impression tired. He said SNL was failing. He promised retribution for jokes. That was not just thin skin. It was strategy.
By this former crusader for free speech.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple, just like dominoes, one by one. They'll go down.
That was also in 2022. And I wonder, how did that guy turn into this guy?
Who would you like to see replace Kimmel on late night?
Well, a lot of people, anybody could replace him. The guy had no talent. Kimmel look, he was fired, he had no talent.
If he could make the conversation about the legitimacy of parody, he did not have to answer the parody. It failed because the impression was not a smear. It was a mirror. The lesson is older than television. If you cannot laugh at yourself, someone will do it for you, and there is nothing you can do to stop them beyond proving their point by throwing a fit.
I'm sure you hear it all the time, but I love it when you do President Trump. I think it's the greatest. I really do. It's so good.
My wife will tell you, I never imitated him or had anything to do with. Lauren called me and said, "You want to do this?" And I go, "No, I don't want to be Trump on TV." And because anytime you have any kind of mimicry, it's usually somebody that you appreciate. You have some appreciation.
Right.
So they said to me, Trump, and I didn't hate Trump. I just said, I don't want to do that. And Tina and Lauren kind of pushed me, and I do it. And you've seen SNL. And the moment the stage manager takes me to my mark for the first dress rehearsal at 8 o'clock.
Baldwin understood the confidence of stillness. Stand there. Hit the gesture, hit the cadence, let the audience connect the dots. The live audience did the rest. They filled in the silence with recognition. Now zoom back to Kimmel one more time because his fight is the day-to-day fuel that kept this story alive.
Just yesterday, there's this video of what seemed to be garbage bags being thrown out of the window of the Lincoln bedroom. That's the White House. The official response from the White House said it was maintenance work being done while Trump was off on one of his many golf weekends. But Trump is even contradicting his own White House now.
There's a video that is circulating online now of the White House where a window is open to the residence upstairs and somebody is throwing a big bag out the window. Have you seen this?
No, that's probably...
Over the years, he took on Trump's legal claims, the election denial carousel, the fantasy economics, the attacks on reporters and judges, the parade of conspiracy theories. He brought on guests who could talk law in plain language. He brought on doctors who could talk science without jargon. He wrapped it in jokes that made it stick. That is the trick. If you make people laugh while the key slides into the lock, they do not forget what door it opens.
The moment the stage manager takes me to my mark for the first dress rehearsal at 8 o'clock, I had no idea what I was going to do.
Really?
I mean, literally, the moment I walked out there, I just said to myself, eyebrow up. I tried to stick my face out, my mouth out. I was in the makeup room, they're putting my wig on, and it was like a scene from like a mental hospital. I'm getting the wig on me, and I'm sitting there the whole time going, China, China.
When the show went dark last month, the silence felt wrong, not because anyone is entitled to a late-night show, but because people had built a nightly habit around hearing the nonsense translated back into English. If you want to understand why Trump keeps losing it when Kimmel or Baldwin take a swing, it is this. Both men puncture the brand.
A birthday note. That is a signed confession. That letter is so creepy it should have its own documentary series on Netflix. I give it 2 hours before Trump claims it was written by Joe Biden's auto pen. And by the way, can you imagine if that little pubic scribble said Joe Biden instead of Donald Trump? There would have been another storming of the Capitol. There'd be torches and pitchforks going right up his Pennsylvania Avenue.
Trump sells dominance. Baldwin's impression makes dominance look needy. Trump sells toughness. Kimmel's monologues make toughness look like cruelty wrapped in ignorance. Trump sells himself as the only truth. These guys put the truth on a screen next to him and tell jokes that do not blink. When your entire pitch is that you cannot be laughed at, being laughed at is defeat. When your entire pitch is that no one can hold you to account, being held to account by a comedian hurts worse than a subpoena.
Some of the Epstein and Maxwell victims held a press conference on the steps of the Capitol to demand the release of the files and to announce that they are making their own list of men who assaulted them to release. You know, they were scared, and they're so scared to release the names, but now they have an unlikely ally from inside MAGA.
I also encouraged him already this morning that he should have these women in the Oval Office. They deserve to be there.
You spoke to him?
Yes, I did. And I told him I'd be happy to set that up, arranging with their attorney by sharing his phone number.
What was his reaction about?
I haven't got an answer back.
I'm sure he'll get back to you on that very, very soon.
It gets into the part of your brain that knows the crowd is with the other guy. Trump can handle booze. He basks in fights. What he cannot handle is the sound of an audience laughing and knowing he is the reason. There is a broader media lesson here that matters for the next year. Politicians who live on television die on television if they forget that television has editors. Kimmel is an editor with jokes. Baldwin is an editor with a wig. They cut out the self-pity. They tighten the beats. They add the laugh where the lie used to be. No rally can stop that.
Some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They just started construction of the new ballroom.
You can ban a reporter from an airplane. You cannot ban a monologue from the internet. You can threaten a network with bluster. You cannot threaten an audience into unseeing a punchline that landed. For every attempt to choke the joke, there is an equal and opposite reaction that multiplies the joke. We saw that last month. Power tried to lean on a show. The show came back stronger. The monologue wrote itself.
Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke. Now he's openly rooting for NBC to fire Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers and the hundreds of Americans who work for their shows who don't make millions of dollars. And I hope that if that happens, or if there's even any hint of that happening, you will be 10 times as loud as you were this week. We have to speak out.
Before we land this plane, here is your mid-roll nudge. If you are new here, tap subscribe and hit the bell so the next time a politician tries to bully a joke off the air, you are here when we break it down. If you have been watching for a while, share this with someone who insists satire does not matter. Tell them it is not about a laugh. It is about memory. Laughter is how memory says, save this.
Hear from one very special friend. Moments after we taped our show last night, the Mad Red Hatter wrote, "I can't believe ABC Fake News gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back." You can't believe they gave me my job back. I can't believe we gave you your job back. The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. No, they weren't. Something happened between then and now because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. That I can't argue with. Shut the up. The freedom of speech is only for me.
The reason Kimmel and Baldwin matter in this story is not that they hate Trump. Plenty of people do. The reason they matter is that both used live television to expose the gap between what he says he is and what he is. Kimmel did it with a father's voice and a producer's eye for the cut. Baldwin did it with an actor's instinct for the fatal flaw. Together, they built a decade-long archive of moments that make it very hard for a voter to pretend they have not seen the act.
Whose dying mediocre career was saved by his terrible impersonation of me on SNL, now says playing me was agony. Alec, it was agony for those who were forced to watch.
Right. Well, the interesting thing is nobody's actually forced to watch. I found that out. We don't force anyone
You're choosing to watch, yeah.
Yeah, but Trump forces people to listen to him. I guess we call them government employees. But anyway, we call them the cabinet.
Trump tried to cancel, belittle, and outshout. It never worked for long. The desk is patient. The cold open is patient. The audience is patient and unforgiving. They reward the person who tells the truth in a way they can repeat at work the next day. That is the secret sauce of exposure. It is not about scandal. It is about a line that fits in your mouth. We will keep tracking it because this is not over.
Trump has already introduced himself, so let's now welcome the Democratic candidate.
Boo, here comes the booing.
Former Vice President of the United States.
Allegedly.
And Senator from Delaware.
Not even a real state.
Joe Biden.
Baldwin may not be in the makeup chair every week anymore, but the character he built lives in every writer's room where someone is trying to boil the day into 4 minutes that sting. Kimmel will keep carving through the nonsense because there is always fresh supply. Trump will keep doing what he does because the act cannot change without admitting it was an act. And we will keep showing you how the edit works. If you are watching on Instagram, please follow. If you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe to America Facticity for more breaking news.